Hello and welcome everybody back once again to another Trackalicious Le Mans Ultimate live stream. I have seemingly disappeared, so we will definitely be working on that very shortly to make sure that I get back up on screen. But in the meantime, a big warm welcome to everyone. I hope everyone's having a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. I'm Mike Nause. Joined alongside me tonight is none other than the Saagar Bakshi. And Saagar, it's my fault. Just give me 2 seconds. We will be fixing it here in a second as I basically make Saagar freak out. We've had a couple minor technical difficulties before we got into it tonight, but nothing that we can't, of course, fix whilst live. We do it live, folks. That's how Trackalicious often is. But Saagar, are you excited for tonight? Round 2 of the Le Mans Ultimate Championship, and here we go.
And it's basically the start of the WEC season. I can feel it in my bones. 1,000 miles of Sebring. No, we're not quite there yet, but it will be happening shortly. Right after Daytona, we will be headed to the 1,000 miles of Sebring. But here at Tracklicious, we're doing the 60 minutes of Sebring, folks. It's going to be a wonderful time. We're going to have 36 drivers loaded up. I believe we have the most full grid that we will have ever in a Le Mans race, other than racing on Le Mans itself, when we'll be opening it up to over 60 drivers. So quite interesting and quite exciting that we'll be able to do that. And Mike Nause is back in the booth with me, folks. We're back in business.
Yes, indeed. I closed the wrong tab. Let's just put it that way. That was my bad, and yeah, that was my bad. We'll just say it as it is. But I hope everyone's having a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. We are here tonight down in the Americas. We were down over in Europe, of course, last week. Now we are going to be at the infamous Sebring, one of the American classics, but also maybe one of the sleeper tracks as well, one of the more difficult circuits. Saagar, why don't you talk a little bit more about what we have in store for the drivers tonight?
The one thing that we have to talk about the most here at Sebring is respecting the bumps. You have to respect the bumps. The track has been around since World War II, basically, since they decommissioned a World War II bomber base and turned it into a racetrack. The track surface has never been changed since then, folks. So it has all these concrete blocks that have basically been placed into position. And over time in Florida, obviously, due to the sedimentary layer that's there, the concrete blocks have all reset themselves at different elevations. So coming through turn 17, coming through the Flying Fortress straight, you're going to have a lot of bumps to deal with, folks. So please be out there and respect the bumps. And if you haven't driven on that line before, when you're coming through turn 17, now is not going to be the time to try a new line or a new move on someone. Just respect the bumps, please. I'll say it for the final time.
Yeah, so it's a rough circuit, and it does, of course, hasn't been changed since its iteration. It has had a couple potholes filled in here and there, but if anyone's driven on an old country road, you know what that is like. Now, also, I just wanted to mention, first off, a big thank you to everyone that's joining us here tonight. We also had one bigly dropping a $10 dono before the stream, contributing to the Keep the Lights On Foundation that we have going on here at Trackalicious, the $400 a month goal that we're trying to look towards, but we know obviously we will see, as this is, of course, Saagar and I's goal to make a full-time profession. We won't mention it too much, but we just will thank you for contributing, and anyone that does in the future as well. Now, with that being said, Saagar, I think we've rambled on enough here. Why don't we go down to the action, the real meat and potatoes, and see what these Hypercars and GT or LMGT3s are all about.
Let's go see what the drivers are all up to right now. We've got some action on circuit already. The drivers in the Hypercar category have already started setting their very own laps, 146.7 being the best lap out there right now. That's set by Carl Sween. Joseph German in P2, Daniel Meyer in P3, Jace Wright, the Wright brother himself, trying to fly his way through the Flying Fortress in 4th place in that number 15 car. Mitchell Diaz in 5th, Pfeiffer in 6th, Guren Singh, Guren Bay, and then in 7th place, Jake Buckdom in 8th, Eric Miller in 9th, and Paul Cantina in 10th.
Indeed. Also, I just wanted to throw one more thank you at this. I noticed there was another donut that we had. Lincoln Clay VR. Thank you very much as well. I think that was done off stream, so big thank you for that. Yeah, the qualifying here, Sween up at the top is a very interesting look. Now, obviously, drivers to keep in mind for this session is going to be Don Hunter, the previous winner, at least last week at the circuit Spa-Francorchamps. Hard enough for me to say. Carl Sween here. He not only is on the top, he has found, well, I guess the top of the runoff area. He's gone a little bit too deep there. Can't quite tell what corner we're in, but he has returned back to the pit garage regardless for his efforts.
Yeah, it is tricky here coming through turn 17. I believe that's where he got caught off guard, but Mitchell Diaz doing very well in this Porsche 965, doing very good things in this number 5. He's on pace right now with doing a personal best. It looks like he's purple through sector 3 that last time around and only building momentum as he goes down the order. And you can see those concrete blocks that I'm talking about. They're all set in stone here through the back sector of the track as we get onto the Flying Fortress straight, and you can see how bumpy it's going to be through these next 60 minutes that the drivers have. 10 minutes for the hypercars for their qualifying session, and then all the GT3 LMs are going to be in the pit lane for the first 10 minutes and then roll out for the final 10 minutes for their own clean air on track.
The classic split qualifying, the format that we use here all the time at TRACKILICIOUS, and well, we've just seen a rear end get split as well. The damage is adding up already, and we're only in qualifying. Now, why don't we talk a little bit about this race circuit? We've already mentioned the fact that it's bumpy. It's got some old-fashioned styles to it, as it is, of course, a World War II bomber base converted to a racetrack, as every good fighter base and bomber base is. They should be, at least. This is a track that overtaking can be quite the challenge on. Now, it's not to say it's impossible. You have some good opportunities down the Ullman Straight into Sunset Bend. You can make it work. Also through the turn 2, I guess if you want to call it that, through the kind of sweeping backhanded corners. But all the way around, once you get down into the Fangio chicane through the Cunningham corners, it's kind of just to settle in for the ride and the roller coaster.
Absolutely. The circuit, since it incorporates so many high-speed straights, challenging turns, and things that are of high-speed nature, I mean, from Tower Turn all the way through the Galbenden Bend, you're not really going to find yourself making a passing opportunity unless you find a good one at Bishop Bend. But all the way down from Turn 1 into the hairpin turn, you're not really going to find yourself making any passing opportunities. And then your last opportunities, of course, at Sunset Bend, that's going to be Turn 17. And that one is very tricky to find yourself going side by side with. I doubt any racer is going to trust themselves to go wheel to wheel with another driver. We might see some overtaking opportunities happen between classes, but that'll have to be it though if the drivers want to make it to the very end of this, and it looks like the GT3s are just about to roll out now.
Yeah, with that, their outlaps begin, and they get the crucial heat into the tires. I don't think that's something that we've mentioned just yet, Saagar. The fact that, as you see right there, Nicholas struggling with traction, because there's something that if you're from ACC and you're awfully used to it, you don't have that luxury of here, Saagar, and that, of course, is tire blankets.
No, that's something that they actually changed going into 2024. No longer are we using tire blankets or tire warmers for their vehicles. And it's actually mandated that the tires be kept in the shade. So no cheeky strategies of trying to stick your tires out in the sun to warm them up just a little bit in the Sebring Floridian heat. No, none of that. Basically, you get what you pay for. The tires come at you and have to be covered, locked up in the shade before they get mounted onto your vehicle. And then they're mounted onto your vehicle ice cold. You're going to need about 2 or 3 laps to get them up to full working temperature, and the drivers are sure going to put them to the test here today.
They really are, and there's a couple other differences as well if you are from ACC and or iRacing and you're coming over to this sort of new style of GT racing. We have what is called virtual energy, and now we did a very poor job of explaining that last week, as Alex K had informed us. We now know a little bit more about it, and well, buckle up, folks, because it's quite the explanation. It's quite simple, but it's also not at the same time. So these drivers, when they're out on circuit, they have not just their fuel tank to worry about, they have what's called virtual energy. Now, that's not push to pass. That's not battery deployment like you would expect in Formula 1 or in any other battery-powered series where you have a push to pass. No, even for the hypercars, that's not exactly how it works. You have a virtual gas tank kind of, in a way, where you combine it so you have different ratios that you want to, or that you can use, that's at an access for you. So you can either use more virtual energy, which will use less fuel, or you can use less fuel and more, or less virtual energy and more fuel. So all in all, you have a different way of playing it long term, but regardless, your virtual energy is going to run out before your fuel tank in most of these cars. So it's just about gauging that, managing it, and it's not a performance boost. It's purely down to the strategy.
Yeah, absolutely true, Mike Nause. So it's a combination of the fuel and the hybrid system being used. It is basically a time delta per lap of what you can hit, and it is all about your fuel conservation. Most drivers, they can run out of fuel, or they can go longer than their fuel tanks will allow them to go based on the amount of virtual energy that they can store in their tanks, which is actually a quite interesting feat. So if you're not worried about fuel saving, you know, you really want to push that thing to the absolute limit whatsoever. That way you're burning up as much fuel towards the end of the race. The other thing that Alex mentioned that I thought was very interesting is, much like my hybrid vehicle, when your maximum capacity for your battery is at 100%, you won't actually get any brake regen. So regenerative braking is when the motor starts turning basically the opposite direction to form AC energy, right? So it's pumping it back into the vehicle to store up into the batteries. Well, if your battery's at 100%, your brake balance will actually be off because you're not getting any brake regeneration from the hybrid energy system. Super interesting to me. So if we see any slip, trips, or falls here on the earlier laps of the race, it's because people aren't deploying enough of that virtual energy or that hybrid energy system as they should have, and their battery is probably sitting at around 110%.
Yeah, so to summarize here, because that's a little bit confusing, we just threw two different things that sound awfully similar at you. So for the push-to-pass, or not push-to-passes, it's not what it's called, but for the battery that we're talking about there, that is specifically for the hypercars. So the GT3 or the LMGT3s, they don't actually have that system of having to worry about deploying a battery down to a certain level and keeping it. That's more for the hypercars in particular. However, they still do have virtual energy, which is a completely separate system. And again, it's a bit confusing. We'll try not to dwell on it for too long because it makes my head spin just thinking about it. It's, I'd recommend looking it up. You're getting into more in-depth videos. Alex K actually has some great videos on his YouTube channel that explain it specifically in a lot more details with examples, and I would highly, highly recommend checking those out.
Absolutely. Alex K has been a world of knowledge for us. So thank you very much to Alex K and all of his team for informing us about all of the incorrect sayings that we were throwing out there. But Lucas Mind actually out there with a purple sector 1 right now, up by around 0.3 of a second through that first sector, and now he's coming through sector 2 right now, and he's 0.2 up on sector 2. And João Azevedo is going to have some issues with Lucas Mind challenging him for P1 in that first spot on the grid.
Yeah, he certainly is right now. Lucas Mind had quite the easy Friday last week with a victory over the rest of the field by a significant margin. Victor Lietti not able to really respond, or Xavier Crab, but right now I don't see Lietti or Crab out there. But yeah, you mentioned the new driver on the grids. I'm pretty sure. I don't think Azevedo was out in the previous session. So with Lucas Mind now having a bit more competition on circuit, we also can see what Alvarado will do with Lentilian, somebody who we know is quite quick as well. Had an unfortunate week last week, looking to recover though. He's sitting in 4th right now, not too far away.
Yeah, Ryan Lentilian, a popular streamer for LMU. He does a lot of streaming, so keep your eye on Lentilian, and hopefully he won't run into virtual energy issues this time, as Ryan Lentilian just gets bumped back down into P5 actually in that number 46 BMW. He drives a lot of hypercars typically, but now getting back into the GT3s for this race. He was talking about being very excited for this one. He was asking a lot of people if they're interested. So thank you very much for the support, Lentilian. And if you're interested, go follow Lentilian on Twitch for some more LMU action throughout the week.
Yeah, Le Mans Ultimate, a game that is our simulator, before anyone corrects me, that is certainly going places, and we are going with it. And massive shout out to everyone that has partaken in our leagues. We have a full grid tonight, which we are so excited to say. And looking at these cars out on circuit, we're starting to see the field spread kind of get clumped up a bit more. We see the manufacturers, at least on the first few laps, a lot of BMWs at the top, the Ferraris in the middle, and then the McLarens sort of down towards the bottom. As the qualifying's gone on, though, we see that it's changed slightly. The BMWs now split up by the Cavallina Rampantis and the McLarens, and then the lone Corvette down in 6th position there for Brunner. A big welcome as well to Naulu in chat. We also have Steven Tomazic joining us. Welcome, everyone.
Absolutely, Rose Gaming. It sounds so weird to say it in my head, virtual energy, but that's what it is. It is virtual energy. It is a arbitrary amount of energy that can be consumed over a set period of time. So, yeah, we're going to leave it at that before I muck up any more of the words or say anything else that's incorrect. But the lap times right now, 4/10 off the pace right now is Alvarado after Lucas Mine, and then Saidi. Yes, 5/10 off the good from Alvarado and Mine in front. Azevedo 5/10 away. Lentillion is 1 second off the pace, holding back the Barry behind Will Brunner, Tim Kennedy, Chris Turner, Colin Blackman, and Raw Racing in the 10th spot.
Yeah, Lucas Mine into the 201s, the only driver to do so. His Sector 1 in particular looking very strong over the rest of the field, about 2/10 quicker throughout the pack. And we also have, of course, Alvarado. I think he's gone into pit lane. We can see actually him on screen right now. He has called it. There is Will Brunner, though, trying to improve his target lap time there, 2:01.5. Now, that's the optimistic look right now. He's currently sitting a little bit further back with a 2:02.9. So quite a bit of improvement needed if he wants to find himself on the top.
What's going on, D. Anthony? Thank you very much for joining us in the YouTube chat. Thank you very much for being here. And the clock strikes midnight, folks, here at Sebring. This will be everybody's final attempt at getting one in before we get going for this epic race around Sebring. Of course, we're going to have the grid split up into the Hypercars and GT3 LMs, so they won't get mixed up too badly. Rally Dutchy, the back of the pack, all the way up is Carl Sween for the 19 Hypercars, and for the 17 GT3 LMs we have, it's Lucas Mind all the way down to Cody Ryan.
What a field that we have here. Loads of drivers out, and look at that. 5 drivers all within a second. The rest of the field splitting out just behind that. Alan Turner here still on his lap down in 16th position, looking to find quite a lot of time. I'd imagine he will find some improvement on this lap. He's already 5 seconds up in Sector 1. And welcome as well to, is that going to be Arcerebos? Welcome, obrigados. I'm assuming that seems, we have a lot of little Brazilian fans joining us out here tonight. But as Saagar pointed out earlier as well, yes, indeed, beware of the bumps, folks, because Sebring is a rough one.
Yeah, absolutely. Gotta respect the bumps out here. Sunset will be the killer for everybody here tonight. If there's one corner that I want to tell people to mind and respect and potentially not go side by side through, it's gonna be Sunset. 110%, folks. You gotta be extra careful around there to protect yourself and protect the other drivers that are around you.
Yeah, you certainly do, and we'll see how the drivers get on with it once we get down to the race session, of course. We have a brief little calm before the storm, time to examine the grid, look at the pit lane where all of these cars are currently being worked on by all the manufacturers, and we get to chat a little bit about, well, the simulator, as East Coast Dave chiming in here. One of the interesting things about virtual energy is that all cars have torque sensors on the drive axles, which is how they measure the actual energy output per stint. Fascinating. This is so over my head. I still need to get more into that because that makes a lot of sense. So they're obviously, I mean, sensors are modern day racing in a nutshell, pretty much. Go and look at Formula E. They have over 300 sensors in the car generating 1.1 million data points per second. And these cars aren't really that far off either. They're maybe not quite as complicated in the electrical sense, but you mentioned it. They have the MGUKs, the MGUHs, regenerative braking. They have inverters. They have to convert AC power over into DC, or excuse me, other way around. They have to convert DC power over into AC power to deploy it to the axle, and so on and so forth. So all the way around, there's a bird on screen. Yo, Saagar, they added hold up, folks. Okay, that's a great segue. Saagar, do you happen to know how many bird species there are in the area here of Sebring?
I knew this was coming. Mike, I have no idea how many birds are out there, and there's that seagull that you're so apt to point out.
There is just so happens to be over 300 bird species, 48 of which are local, some of which including the blue heron, the snowy egret, the motelid duck, as well as seagulls. Yeah, you guessed it. Various shorebirds. There's the killdeer, the latest sandpiper, the Wilson snipe, and of course various gulls as well.
Absolutely. And I forgot to play the sexy sax. I apologize so much. That's my mistake. I think it's too late. We've got 5 seconds before the league gets going. But yes, this is welcome to Birdalicious Racing League, with all the bird facts coming at you quick, fast, in a hurry. And the grid is now set, folks. We're ready to get rolling, Mike.
Indeed. And we unfortunately, Chongzilla, do not have Facecam Fiesta set up. We'll have to get that set up for the next one. I think we just kind of honestly, I need to change that one, but also we'll figure it out. Now that's a grid, says Captain Seda. Yes, this is a full grid, folks. We are loaded, jam-packed to the brim, and everyone's going to be having to share this circuit. Just about 3 miles, pretty much, for them to share out through this wonderful track down in Florida.
Don't forget about the osprey, says Nailgun Stanley. It's the best Florida bird, he says.
I'll take your word for it. They also have some more exotic species as well, like monk parakeets and Egyptian gooses. Or geese. Green. There's a short outlap here, apparently, as the hypercars are underway, and it's a mad dash. Sween is gone. We're 3 wide with Joseph Gurman, Mitchell Diaz, as well as Meyer. Looks like everyone's settling it out through the argument, negotiating it down the... Whoa, laid onto the brakes there for the Ferrari. That's Daniel Meyer. He gets it locked up, stopped just in time, though, before he collected Joseph Gurman into Calamity. Looking a bit further back now. This is the LMGT3 cars. This is Chaos, Calamity, and we have drivers trying to negotiate through the field early on, bumping and banging between Corvettes and McLarens, but it's a punch to the face, and these drivers are ready for the bout. Side by side they go, Will Brunner and Alvarado.
Alvarado looking like he wants to make it move up around the inside on Will Brunner. No, excuse me, inverse that. The 82 gets bumped wide. The 59 is able to go through. Ryan Lantillion up into 3rd place behind Sadie and Mind. And it's awfully close between those drivers, but Will Brunner still battling out with Alvarado right now, and Azevedo looking around the background, trying to get a move done in that BMW, the number 31.
Looking at it as well, we see Joseph German in 3rd position. My apologies. Thank you for correcting us on that. Carl Sween, though, leading away at the front with Mitchell Diaz still behind by about half a second. The LMGT3 categories are close, and so is the front pack. Looking at, though, currently Yao in 24th. Now we see Joseph German, though, under pressure from Jace Wright and pretty much biting a hole in the back bumper is German, who's also on to Meyer. And, oh, was there a little contact there? I'm not sure, but understeer for German, and Jace Wright mobs the position.
Absolutely. Jace Wright has become a masterclass of negotiating the bumps at turn 17 now. He was there for our Community for Fun race this week, so he has got some practice in, and now German's under threat again from the number 4 of Gurren Singh as well. No opportunities there for Singh. Behind is Singh, and behind German, excuse me. I can't even spit the words out. There's so much action in this 36 car grid. It is absolutely unbelievable, Mike Nause.
It really is. This is what I love about Multiclass, what I love about various GT3s, the mayhem, it's so difficult to even follow what's going on. Nevertheless, trying to make sense of it all, this is what's brilliant. The Raw Racing Team WRT right now is looking to get overtaken by another BMW, except it's a BMW in a different category. And no, that's not lap traffic, I don't think. I'm pretty sure that's a car that started in the back and has to work their way through the slower LMGT3 category. Hard work ahead for them, but looking now at Azevedo in the slipstream of the McLaren. Where do you make your move if you are the 31?
If you are the 31 right now, you have to be looking forward and just keeping in touch with the drivers in front, because lap traffic is going to give it, lap traffic is going to take it away, and the way these hypercars negotiate around these GT3s will be the most important thing, and that'll be where you end up losing a lot of time. The 59 doesn't even bat an eye at Jace Wright, doesn't allow João Azevedo to allow him to get an opportunity to close down the gap. It's actually opened up to 0.8 of a second now. Let's go ahead and look forward at the GTP field, or the Hypercar field, excuse me, because we have a couple of 3-4-way battles brewing right now.
Yes, we certainly do. We also have a fun fact redemption in chat from Adam Strange, wondering some facts about Big Birds. Well, I have a fact about Big Bird related to racing. Hold that thought, though, because Daniel Meyer is saying, hold my beer, going for a move potentially, but no, he backs out, thinks better of it, and wants to try again on another day. But did you know, Saagar, that Big Bird was used as a symbol for an anti-speeding campaign to encourage safe and responsible behavior? I'm not sure the drivers got the memo tonight.
I don't think that they did. Not one lick of Big Birds were heard out here during your Big Bird fact that you dropped earlier, but these drivers are laying it all on the line right now. It's Joseph German in third place, leading Daniel Meyer over Singh, over Pfeiffer. And then Eric Miller lurking around in the background in 7th place. About 2 seconds separates P4 through P7 right now.
Yeah, this is going to heat up. Now, keep in mind, there's 1 hour on the clock. These drivers do not need to go all out early on. You have a little bit of time. You can go for the discretion as better part of Valor play, unless you're a spinner in the background. Who was that? Was that going to be Paul Cantina? I think it may have been. Yes, that was. Unfortunately, the number 13 car plummets the field, or the 38, excuse me, and 35 continues to drop.
Let's look at Joseph German as he chases down Jace Wright out in front, the P2 car of Jace Wright in that BMW. Go ahead and order yourself some Legos if you're a Jace Wright fan. The BMWs are on sale right now, and speaking of which, Joseph German's not buying his. He's gonna go ahead and send it in the Toyota and get through on Jace Wright through turn 17, and now this three-way battle is gonna spice up a little bit hotter. German leads over Wright, over Meyer, now backed up into each other. Just 1 second separates P3, 4, and now the Toyota goes off into turn 2, and now the 51 and Jace Wright are able to collect that position, and the number 7 Denso machine falls back to where he belongs, into P4 for now, but he's going to be driving with his heart on his sleeve, that's for sure, and trying to regain the momentum on track.
Yeah, Joseph German, he was driving there like he was dealing with more pressure than a submarine, and unfortunately he sprung a leak and had to fall back a little bit. The damage repair, though, has been negated, and he's looking to get aggressive back again onto his victim here, Jace Wright, or his rival, I should say, at this point, Jace Wright. He goes for the full send move down to the inside, but he backs out, thinks better of it. Very aggressive posturing, but look at this. The two three-way fights that we were looking at, Saagar, it's now turned into 1 6-way bout.
Absolutely maddening right now. I want to take a look at this GT3 battle real quick because the deltas got so close. Will Brunner battling it out with João Azevedo right now. Azevedo able to side draft his way through, and now Tim Kennedy and Chris Turner as well getting involved in this 8-6-7 battle right now in front of your very own eyes. And where are we on circuit? We're coming into the hairpin bend, I believe, and on our way to the chicane, the Fangio chicane. Will Brunner trying to trail down. In front is Tim Kennedy, the number 82, trying to do the best he can, but it's not good enough this time around.
No, he's just going to have to settle in right now, and it's frustration that's going to be boiling in the back there of that, I almost said Mustang. No, that is certainly not. It's a Corvette, not even close. Either way, the Corvette currently in the background in the slipstream. Where do you make your move? Is it at the back of the Ullman Straight? Is it into Sunset Bend? Well, let's find out. I don't think it's going to be. We're a little bit too far back this time round. But through it down towards the Le Mans curves, I think he's going to have to try maybe on the next lap, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was Colin Blackman spun around through the outer loop section, and now he is tumbling down the order into P30 overall, P12 in his class, and he's missing a bit of a rear wing for himself also. So let's check out Will Brunner and Tim Kennedy's battle headed in towards turn 17. He's way too far back this time around, but that's Andre Alex Alfonso in the Lamborghini trying to make a move and regain some track positions and catch back up to Jake Terrell, who's the last of the hypercars.
And seeing if he can do so, just getting on by. He'll be in the party soon enough, but with that, has the damage been done? Keeping an eye, though, on Brunner. Where do you do it again? Where do you make this move? The Corvette seems to be, I don't know if it's at a disadvantage in speed or not, but it just isn't able to get alongside, unfortunately, at any real opportunities. Now, of course, you can say that's the nature of Sebring, and I would go as far as saying it is. The bumpy circuit, the undulating curves, the fact that you're basically having your wheel turned at all times. You don't get a break here in Florida.
Only 3 DNFs so far, and 10 minutes into this race, Captain Insano, I just wanted to point that out. That's not too bad, especially with 2 hypercars starting from the back, and Will Brunner, no! Spins off right at the entrance of the Fangio chicane, could not get it collected at the hairpin entry, and then just drifts out and loses 1 position overall in front of Drew Burakovsky and behind Chris Turner now. Let's take a look back at the hypercar field, as we do have a couple of close gaps we want to keep an eye on. Osvaldo Costa chasing down Arlen Santos, but it looks like Costa goes off in his Toyota, and chasing down Santos has gotten the better of him, and he's maybe got to wipe some sweat off the brow so he can see the track cleanly.
Yeah, maybe a bit of red as well getting involved there. Hopefully not, but the Toyota planted for right, at least the time being. Costa, though, behind Santos, where, again, for these hypercars, this is down to the strategic play, a lot of it for them, as there is one mandatory stop. Well, it's not mandatory, but everyone's going to have to pit due to virtual energy throughout this race. And do you do it early? Do you do it late? That Ferrari, first off, has had a bit of a scrapping, it looks like. Not quite the most showroom ready. That might be affecting the straight line speed and the braking. Osvaldo is going to go braking into the side of the Ferrari, and the Toyota gets the move on. Talk about full send baseball. That might have been a little bit overkill, but either way, Costa, in 10th position, is now his.
And the side-by-side action is not what you expected in the hypercar category. I guess Le Mans Ultimate will provide it for us, because these drivers are sending it on each other left, right, and center. And that was a big lick the stamp, send it moment for certain. Let's check out Singh right now as he chases down Pfeiffer going in towards turn 17. Is Gurren Singh going to have the optimum line going in towards turn 1? He might possibly do just that, as he looks like he's going to have a nice run on that Cadillac in front, but he's too far back at this point in time to be able to catch back up.
Yeah, into the first corner now. Just have to settle in for the long ride. If we could pop on board maybe with Miller to see what it's like here at Sebring. This is the front row view and what he sees, and to be fair, he's not too happy with the sight whatsoever. He sees the back end of 2 cars that he doesn't want to see the back end of. He also, though, sees some back markers, and back markers giveth, and back markers, they take it away. Now, as we get to the top of the hill here, through the Cunningham corner and into the Collier curve, again, all about settling it in, waiting for a mistake or potential bottlenecking opportunities from that BMW. It's not going to happen this time, but that's what you're always on a swivel for when you're in these hypercars.
Absolutely. And now coming into Cunningham corner and on our way to the Collier curve and in towards Tower, this is where the cars are really going to get unsettled. They're going to face quite a few of these bumps now, that as soon as they hit the Flying Fortress straight, this is where the Bombers used to land, as well as the front straightaway, 2 runways perpendicular to each other. And this is where we're going to really see some late braking opportunities happen. Coming in towards the final corner, Le Mans curve, as well as Sunset Bend. Who's going to be later on the brakes? The number 4 isn't later on the brakes, a little too far. And now it looks like Eric Miller was able to get that position done and dusted pretty easily.
Yeah, just capitalizing on the mistakes of others. Who needs to be a dive bomber in a field of bombers when you can just capitalize on anyone else's wrongdoings? Nicely done there for Miller, and next up the road is the man on screen, Brandon Pfeffer. He has Joseph German to contest with, and ahead of them is going to be Jace Wright. However, Jace about 5/10 up ahead of German, so still the three-way fight on. Daniel Meyer has sort of checked out, and with Carl Sween, the two of them still within reaching distance of each other, but I don't think they really have intentions of getting by each other right now. It's more of the long-term looking and just about survival through this multi-class madness.
Absolutely, and there's still 46 minutes left to survive, and that will be the name of the game for all the drivers to have to contend with, is just survival and their consistency on track. If they can keep up their consistency with their lap pace without getting slowed down too much. Of course, Sebring, like you said earlier, has so many difficult passing opportunities. It's going to be a challenge for them to meet that lap delta over and over and over again. And speaking of which, who is that in the Toyota that just spun down? Is that going to be Joseph German? That was German who tumbled down the order behind the BMW, locked up in that Toyota and just could not get the car planted. Unfortunate for Joseph German, and that's what we're talking about. Survival of the fittest here.
Yeah, and it's, was that back marker miscommunications? Unfortunately, we missed it and couldn't quite find out. My assumption is, yes, I think there was a bit of either BMW moving when it shouldn't or Hypercar moving when it shouldn't. Who it was, I don't know, but we're seeing that right now where there's a Ferrari getting in the way right now of the pack. Pfeffer getting held up, maybe allowing Aaron Miller a potential way by. The Ferrari, though, moves to the side. Miller doesn't have the chance, but he is held up, and he's now alongside with Bucknam, I think that is. Fully alongside, yes indeed, Bucknam trying to pull the wool over the eyes of Eric Miller. He mugged his position earlier, and Bucknam trying to come back for more. Has he made it stick yet? 3 wide briefly with a back marker, a bit of Michael Schumacher reminiscing for that. And Bucknam, he hasn't got it done yet, but he certainly looks like he may within the next few corners.
Bucknam driving with some fire in his belly right now. And I'm seeing some blue-walled tires. Hopefully that driver isn't on wet tires in that number 311. That would be Eric Miller. Of course, there's no way that could be true right now, as the number 7 is pulling out some serious lap pace right now. The number 7 best lap time at 148.6 compared to Eric Miller's 149.1. And there goes the number 7 round. Bucknam had all that pace, but not quite enough skill to keep it together coming into the hairpin and into the Fangio chicane, unable to keep the car collected, and is now behind that number 46 BMW all over again.
Miller started the spin, and unfortunately for Jake, he finished it. Bucknam there goes around after seeing what Eric Miller did. He thought that was a good idea, and it wasn't, unfortunately. Here is Gurin Sign, though, looking to maybe capitalize on the mistake of others again. Everywhere we look, that seems to be the trend, because that's multi-class in a nutshell at the end of the day. Miller negotiating the back markers with volition, though, and not really getting held. Oh, well, okay. Just knock on wood for that one. And Gurin Sign gets on by as Eric Miller makes a mistake.
Oh my goodness, there's Mistake City. We saw this earlier today, me and Mike Nause, and we're seeing it again. Battle of the mistakes right now. How are the GT3s going? The GT3s are getting on very fine. Lucas Mind leads over Ryan Lentillion and Ferez. Oh my goodness.
Whoa.
Faraz Saidi and João Azevedo, Tim Kennedy, Chris Turner, Nicholas Alvarado is the one that we just saw tumble down the order in front of Will Berner, Drew Burovkowski, and now Raw Racing into 10th place.
Gutting. That was a massive collision, it looked like. I don't think they got out of that one too unscathed just by the first glance. That's how they go, though. I mean, that is absolutely. The homie did eat the wall, unfortunately. I couldn't have put it better myself, Chonkzilla. But with that fight now over, unfortunately. We'll be jumping back with that, I would imagine, at some point. I'd love to see the virtual energy on these cars to see exactly where we're at for strategy. Where are these drivers? How long we have till we... Okay, my bad. Never mind, we won't. I thought it was a click, but okay. With that... Never mind. The deltas will remain.
We can try. I'll try my best, but I believe it doesn't work yet. The energy remaining. Yes, everybody's at 0% right now. Congratulations.
Well, sorry for trying. I tried.
And there is a Lamborghini on circuit. I saw that in the chat messages just a little while ago. It's Andre Alex Alfonso driving the Lamborghini, but he's down in the 18th place right now for the Hypercar, for the Hypercars.
Yeah, not the Huracan GT3 Evo that you're thinking of. This is just an unlucky day for Andre Alex Alfonso, the Portuguese driver. Looking up further, though, Mitchell Diaz still trying to make work and make moves. Now he started, can't remember where he is currently in 7th. He's looking to make that one more now while I do my homework.
A for effort, at least. We're trying our best here with what we've got. We have a lot of improvements yet to come for Le Mans Ultimate, folks. So be staying tuned to all the latest updates for Le Mans Ultimate. And don't forget that in Q1, we're promised another update and DLC to the Le Mans Ultimate repertoire. Hopefully we'll be seeing the Aston Martin as well as another track, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember the name of the circuit off the top of my head, but I believe we're getting one more track, one more car. Someone correct me in chat. Mo Really, thank you very much for following. Appreciate the love and support to the Trackalicious community, and welcome to the Trackalicious family.
Indeed. Thank you all very much for tuning in as well. And yes, hopefully we will see, of course, some massive, or I mean, we are, of course, going to see some massive improvements here from Le Mans Ultimate in the near future, and I cannot wait. So far, the community has been very receptive of it, which has been amazing to see. And with that, some great racing has already unfolded. One thing that we haven't done, again, we did it back in qualifying. We got a hot lap. Was that I can't remember if that was on a Hypercar. I think that was on a GT3. Why don't we go on board with one of the Hypercars just to see what it's like here on for one of the faster machines. Here we go with the likes of Osvaldo Costa, currently sitting down in 10th and looking right at the back of a man that we've seen plenty thus far, Jake Bucknam.
Absolutely. As we're getting ready to conclude this lap, we should be headed down the back straight right now and headed towards sunset. And this is where you will see the sun come setting in front of your very own eyes, and it will illuminate your windscreen. So the drivers will typically have some black tape on the tip of their visors. That way they can keep it blanked off. And then you can see how bumpy it is coming through turn 17 and almost even touching the wall for Costa. Even in 10th place, he's pushing as hard as he can around Sunset Bend. Now coming in towards turn 1, using all the track space you can possibly get, getting towards the Sebring curb. They're at turn 1 and pushing out as far as you can towards turns 2 entry. Now, there's a little bit of a chicane here before you get to Gurney Bend, and you hit that chicane just right. It's fast, it's flowy, it's undulating for sure. Not a lot of elevation change, but you gotta do what you can to keep the car rotating around. Now hitting Gurney Bend, headed down towards the hairpin turn. This is where you're gonna see some passing opportunities start to show up for some of the drivers, and you can see late on the brakes for Acosta, and now in the Toyota battle, if I'm not mistaken. The two cars chasing each other down through the Fangio chicane, heading towards Cunningham Corner. And into Cunningham Corner, it's a little bit of an awkward corner because you're braking and trying to turn at the same time, as we saw a little bit of a lockup there coming through Collier Curve. And on our way towards the tower turn, another right-hander that's a little bit more than 90 degrees, and you're braking and turning at the same time, potentially forcing a little bit of lockup. The car in front going off track just a little bit, and now we're headed down the Flying Fortress straight. Not really too much of a straightaway, but through the kink of Bishop Bend. Now you're coming in through the tracky part of the circuit where it's nice, fast, and undulating. And now we're headed to the final part of the circuit one more time, the Le Mans corner, right after Gelden Bend. And now we're resetting a lap one more time. Take a quick breath of air, take a quick drink from your water bottle, because this is the only time you're going to get right before turn 17. One more time, gotta respect the bumps coming through turn 17. Every time you come through, it's a little bit different, and a little bit of undulation there from Costa, tentative to get on the throttle, and he's coming down the front straightaway, and that's a lap around Sebring.
Brilliant. Take a breath and a bow, Saagar, and thank you very much for the follow as well. Unfortunately, I missed that. Let me see if I can pull that up. Thank you very much to The Ultimatum for the follow. Welcome to the team here at Trackalicious. Now, one thing you can see, or well, I guess you can't really see, I'm surprised we can't see when we're on board here, is the fact that these cars, now I don't want to say they drive themselves because they certainly don't drive themselves, but we don't see the little purple dots that these drivers are going to be seeing that basically tells them when to brake, more or less, which I know you may at first, ear glance of that say, why do these drivers need to be told when to brake? Well, it's actually very interesting. It goes back to that virtual energy bar that you can see on the right hand side of your screen that is not at full percent for Osvaldo Costa, I can tell you that right now, but it is showing. It's going to be somewhere down in the middle by this stage, maybe even down towards the end. And Costa really wringing the neck of this car right now. Keep an eye out here. He might be making a move soon. But we don't see the fact that they have little purple dots telling them when to brake, so that way they have a target lap goal. That's the one thing is, for these cars, they can only make it so many laps. And for example, at Spa-Francorchamps, they can make it anywhere from about 45 to 50 minutes, which is about 22 laps for total. Now at Sebring, they're going to be a little bit different. We'll find out what that lap total is, but it should be somewhere around that mark. For the virtual energy, and again, just trying to set that target, drive to your delta, lift and coast to save energy, because of course if you're not on the accelerator, you're not going to be using as much gas or energy, obviously.
Absolutely, yeah, not using as much energy. And Costa really trying to wring this one out, pushing this Toyota as far as he possibly can, the iconic number 8 Toyota around this circuit. Excuse me. But you're absolutely right. We wish we could see the virtual energy bars as well as the lift and coast bars of the purple dots, letting the driver know when to lift and coast to save a little bit of that energy that they possibly have. Adam Strange, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate you, brother, as always. Give us a hydrate before you gotta go, of course, but thank you guys so much. Why do you guys like onboard so much? Because we do like onboard. We haven't run an onboard yet, so we're running onboard because there's a nice chase here, and there's GT3s in front, so we're gonna stick on this onboard just for Marcelo Ramon.
We can't go in it. We have been on board for a while. He is kind of, I guess he's right. We'll go off board for it, I suppose, and go back into the third-person view to see it from the outside. Everywhere you look, though, this game looks just brilliant. I love the first-person livery, the first-person overlay as well, seeing the WEC graphics or the IMSA graphics that are on our screen. And almost Osvaldo there really posturing. He's postured a bit too deep, though, and that is a thwarted effort all the way through. A bit of gravel picked up on the tires is really all he accomplished by having that look. Now, looking up a bit further, here is Joseph German having his bout still with Jace Wright. No, wait, no.
No, that's Gurren Singh. That's my brother from another mother, Gurren Singh, trying to chase, or in front of Joseph German, the battle of the countrymen. Gurren Singh and the Indian of Gurren Singh battling it out with each other right now. This one has raged on for at least the past 15 minutes and has continued to rage on. The drivers are setting nearly identical lap times as far as their best are concerned. 148.9 from Singh and 148.2 for German, but that's just their best laps. I'm not even calling out their most recent laps that they've done. It looks like through Sector 2, German's a little bit faster, or through Sector 1, German's a little bit faster. Singh and German matched up through Sector 2 and through Sector 3, so not too much to be said there. Looking up and down the grid right now, it looks like Daniel Meyer actually chasing down Carl Sweden for the lead of this one.
Here we go. The lead battle has been on. Well, it hasn't been on for a while. It's been in the works, though. Meyer hasn't really let Carl Sweden go whatsoever. He's kept him at bay 1 second the whole time, and the Alpine that's leading this race now under threat from the 499P. What do we see, though, from the A, of course, of Daniel Meyer? We've seen the overtakes having to be very aggressive at times, and I think it's going to have to be that sort of story again, unless we see an alternate strategy, which we very well might. It's going to have to be down to back markers or a lunge and a half from Meyer.
And speaking of lap traffic, they've got a car out in front of them right now that they're going to have to contend with coming in through Sunset. Who's going to be on the worst for wear line? The 51 actually gets through pretty cleanly over the Alpine out in front of Carl Sweden, it looks like. And it looks like neither of them were separated too much. No harm, no foul. Half a second is the gap now between Meyer and Carl Sweden. The number 35 Alpine leading the charge right now and catching up to the rest of the GT3 LM pack right in front of us.
Yeah, now it's just really about prioritizing adhesion over ambition right now if you're Daniel Meyer. It's all about waiting for the opportunity, the mistake, the time for it to come. If this is a different track like Monza, for example, you'd be saying, well, he needs to go for the lunge. But no, this is not a track like Monza. This is a very different beast that we're tackling right now, but he's lunging into the back bumper. He gave him a little bit of a kiss for good measure. Daniel Meyer in too deep, and a new license plate for the Alpine. Well, at least he got taken off there briefly. And I guess just a light little punch to the face is enough to keep both drivers on their toes.
Well, I know that car out in front is French, and I know the car behind is Italian, but what's a little kiss between these two countries, I guess, is what Daniel Meyer must be saying, as Carl Sween must be screaming in his helmet right now, asking what the heck is going on, in the 51 going for a move around the outside is what the heck is going on. What a move, as the number 35 went a little too deep there coming in towards Tower Bend, and now it looks like the change for the lead has happened finally. The 51 of Daniel Meyer now leads, but for how long can he keep this up for? Best lap coming out of Daniel Meyer, 57.8, 48.0 for Carl Swede. How much longer can Daniel Meyer keep this pace up for? The Alpine looks towards the inside line, towards Sunset. Doesn't really want to go for it here. The 46 staying off the racing line right now, letting the two hypercars battle it out.
Yeah, that look was about as useful as a speed bump on a runway, to be honest, and he knew it too. Well, both drivers did, Daniel Meyer and Sween, just trying to get into the head of Meyer. But looking at how this race has gone so far, Daniel Meyer has kept that 1 second gap very consistent, and I think he's just been bottling his pace up, saving his tires, and now he's able to unleash it, let it go. And I don't know if Carl Sween has really much of an answer. Now let's take a look back, though, as Jace Wright and Diaz, I think they're going to be a little bit closer for the time being. We'll check back with this lead battle soon enough, but I think Meyer has the pace to, well, spread his wings and fly pretty much, if a Ferrari or a horse could fly. Gallop away into the sunset. However you want to look at it, Brandon Pfeffer here in a little bit of a different pickle, I suppose, as he is the Cadillac versus the BMW.
Yeah, Mitchell Diaz able to escape, and he's 1 second up the road right now. Jace Wright and Brandon Pfeiffer being the next closest battles on track. 2/10 now separating them as they navigate their way around the 296 Ferrari. The number 3 able to do it very quickly there at the end of the Collier curve, and on our way to Communications Hill, the Tower Corner, if I'm not mistaken.
And let's see, Pfeffer here, just, the BMW, the GT4, the M4, not GT4 anyways. I made that mistake about 20 times yesterday. That's already bringing that back. Nice callback either way. But Pfeffer here and Wright looking to make things right, and hopefully it stays that way. And there was contact. Was that Diaz? That was. Diaz sent off into the ringer and maybe into the wall. No, into pit lane because he pit. That was less exciting than I made it out to be.
Yes, Diaz is into pit lane right now from third place out in front of the lead, and he decides to take his pit stop sooner rather than later, right around that halfway point. Meyer, Sween, Wright, Pfeiffer, Miller, Gurin Singh, Joseph German, Buckdom, Costa, and then Cantia is your top 10 for the hypercars right now. And looking at the GT3s, everything is pretty seemingly quiet for the rest of the field. Let's go check out what Pfeiffer and Jace Wright are all doing.
Yeah, and these two ever locked, it seems, in a eternal feud of conflict. And Pfeffer, well, right now, actually, he's locked behind a BMW that doesn't want to comply that well. And either way, it's the responsibility of the faster car to make the overtake happen. And Pfeffer, well, struggled to do that for a couple seconds. Unfortunate, but no harm, no foul. He got by regardless. And that's the thing about back markers. They give it and they take it the way. Sometimes you can have a nice gain where you get by easily and you pull a second over your opponent, and the next thing you know, you're stuck behind 4 cars and can't make any moves at all, and then you get sent on, and now you've lost 4 positions as a result. Am I speaking from experience? Maybe.
Sounds like it hits a little too close to home, Mike Nause. Were you victim of some Hypercar GT3 battling in your time?
I can't say specifically those 2 categories, but multi-class madness always comes out for the destruction.
Let's check out the battle between Chris Turner and Tim Kennedy right now. I would switch to an onboard shot, but It seems like we used up all of our onboard tokens that are available for us. Tim Kennedy.
Chat
leading-
will riot.
Yeah, chat will riot against me. Chris Turner right now, trailing behind Tim Kennedy. Yeah, who hurt you, Mike Nause? Show me on the Ferrari 296 where they hurt you.
No, it would more likely be the McLaren, but either way, we'll see how that continues on here with Chris Turner getting lapped nice and easy, no issues there. Now, the battle's unfolding a little bit further down the field. Costa and Bucknam still having their little go with each other. They've been at it for a good while and looking to continue. Now, for Bucknam, the story has unfortunately been a bit of backwards. He's gone in reverse, as it seems. It has the likes of Jake. But of course, we will be seeing how he can continue on. Right now, we'll keep an eye, though, with this Chris Turner battle as he looks to maybe get by Kennedy on this next lap. It's certainly close. But also, welcome, Mr. Remco Ottens.
Oh, Remco, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for the love to the Trackalicious family. Welcome to the LMU Friday hosted series that we are running. It has been a phenomenal grid. We had 36 drivers all start out with us. We've had 7 DNFs so far. Due to incidents, I can only imagine so, but the rest of this grid is still driving on. 28 to this grid, and it is mad packed with action right now.
It is, and you know what? Why don't we go on let's change things up a little bit. Why don't we go on a rear wing cam for the Ferrari? That's not quite an onboard, but it is an onboard. As I love the various cams that we have here for these
You're asking
sims.
too much
and,
of me, Mike Nause.
Look, we're getting there, okay? I forgot that it works that way. We got there. Look at the rear cam now. We can see what it's like basically right next to the driver's dash. He's got his little virtual camera. This is pretty much what he would be seeing from that. You can even see the seagulls still in the background. You know, that's one of the things, Saagar, that I love about this sim that I haven't mentioned in the previous race because I forgot, and I am so upset. Spa-Francorchamps has a wacky waving arm flailing inflatable tube man that's visible right on the exit of pit lane. And speaking of pit lane, well, the battle has now come down to a close because the Ferrari goes in.
The Ferrari goes in, concludes the battle for now, but will the undercut be stronger than the overcut? And let's see who comes out worse for wear through the pit stop cycle. And look at this parking lot behind this GT3 car. It looks like Pfeiffer chasing down Jace Wright. The battle still rages on between the two of these brothers, and they're keen to keep it clean, calm, cool, and collected as they approach the hairpin. I can only hope. The Cadillac deep on the brakes, closing down the gap to the BMW out in front, having a little bit of a wiggle, getting on the accelerator pedal, and now coming through the Fangio chicane. The drivers are all single file line for now. 3/10 separating Pfeiffer from Jace Wright.
And with that, we'll see. Where does he go for it? He's looking like he's posturing pretty much every single corner, forcing Jace into a mistake. But you're going to have to wake up pretty early in the morning if you want to catch Jace right out with a little dummy like that. Jace has shown the BMW... Okay, well, careful, Jace. Let's not jinx it as I'm talking about it. Jace has shown that he's been quite the driver with the BMW. He's come to grips with it, and it's kind of become his bread and butter so far. And I'm not sure about Brandon, if he's gelled with the Cadillac. I'd love to hear from him as well if that is the case. But so far, it does seem to be that way. He is all over him like a license plate right now and not going anywhere. The GT3 is playing a bit of a role, but not getting in the way. If anything, giving a little bit of a slipstream to Jace. Is it enough? He has to cover the inside. A late look there from Pfeffer, but he doesn't commit.
No, can't commit there through turn 17. They are respecting the bumps. I think they've already seen a couple of accidents coming through turn 17 already. Sunset Bend, and now coming in through turn 1, they still are separated by around 0.4 of a second between the two of them. Taking a look at the tower, this is going to be the closest battle that we have on track right now. The GT3s are all spanning out by a couple of seconds now. Once the Hypercars chop them up once or twice, the gaps really start to be able to increase. And there is that Lamborghini of Andre Alex Alfonso parked on the side of the road.
Unlucky, to put it lightly. That's a bad day there for the Lambo. We'll call it electrical issues, as the Germans and the Italians are not necessarily too averse to, as to put it lightly. I mean, it is what it is. And with that, Meyer still leading the category, the Ferrari at the top of the time charts, and he's 6/10 ahead of Sweden. So what I thought was going to change massively hasn't, and it's pretty much the same story that we see right now, but Pfeffer gets all sorts of out of shape, the front end. This actually, you know what, Saagar? I'm wondering if this is what we were talking about earlier. Does did Pfeffer overcharge his battery? Because this is sort of what Alex was mentioning. When you get your battery up to either 100% or 0%, you have a bad day. 100% in particular, because it changes your brake bias because you're not reversing that motor. Saagar alluded to that earlier. So you're more likely to snap. You're way more likely to lock up. And I wonder if we see that. Is this not enough battery usage from Pfeffer?
That might be the case. That would explain the lockup that he basically had, or the balance change that he had so abruptly. Let's take a look at Joseph German battling it out with Gurren Singh. The two still raging on. At least the past 9 minutes, they've been glued to each other like super glue. Oh my goodness, and there's a number 5 parked off on the side of the road. Who is that? That'll be Mitchell Diaz parked on the side of the road on the front straightaway.
Not ideal. That's a poor spot to park, as someone would say. You can't park there, mate. Joseph German, he's trying to park himself to the inside there briefly of the number of sign, but he doesn't quite get it there. Now, posturing for the next sector. He's a little far back. That might have been all he had on this lap in terms of moves. Best chance gone away. Now 20 minutes remain. Where do you make your move? When do you make your move? Is it a back marker? Is this the chance? No, German looks another day.
Who is A. Santos? That's Arlen Santos. And he is in 14th place right now, the number 51. I'm not sure about what went on there. We did not catch that on stream, thankfully. And Jason Provolone, thank you very much for joining us. The big stinky cheese man has officially arrived to show us his love. Thank you.
He's not on track, though. Man, Provolone, you got to get in the LMU series. I know it's full. I can't really help you out with that, unfortunately, but you should have got involved. Man, I'd love to see the Stinky Cheese Man on circuit, the Provolone fan base, looking for some new content on their Twitter, of course. You got to give it to them when the getting gets good. Now, of course, with that being said, I just mentioned the fact that, yes, this championship is full, but if you are looking to drive some other championships, we do offer a variety of ACC, iRacing, and others. You can type !SimGrid or !Discord for more information about that. It's an all-around a good time. We also have some just for fun series as well, some kind of a casual, how would you describe it, Saagar, and what we did yesterday?
It was basically a fun for fun series, or a fun run is what we ended up calling it. We basically ended up streaming some of the random hosted lobbies from around the league and around the LMU community, as well as a daily race. And then Trackalicious decided to host a few races, and because of the turnout was so good, what we decided to do is keep the party rolling, and we ended up doing 3 back-to-back races on Wednesday evening on LMU, and that turned out to be a great hoot of a time. So keep your ears peeled and your eyes tuned for any more LMU notifications, and join us on the Discord for any of those notifications to go live when we do decide to run more LMU events. Or if you have an idea of when you'd like to run an LMU event, a practice event, or any other series, please let us know in the Discord, and we'll try to get that situated for you as quickly as possible.
Yeah, we're all about the community here at Trackalicious. Very, very fun time is all the goal. That is, of course, like I say, we're about having a good time. We're here for a long time, and report your incidents, folks. Not about, like I say, no negativity. But either way, Brandon Pfeffer looking to get a move and a hurry up on. I need to disable the Facecam Fiesta because I'm making so many people waste their points on this Saagar. I'm not going to lie. I apologize, chat.
We're just equalizing the playing field. Pfeffer on the inside line on the number 15 of Jace Wright. Looked like he was going to make a move around the outside. The switchback will be engaged, though, to number 3 and the number 15, forcing another car out of the way as the GT3 inverting that position. Jace Wright tumbles down into P4. Not done with the fight with Brandon Pfeiffer just yet. They got to be careful though, because all this battling has allowed Eric Miller to catch back up, turning this into a menage a trois. The three-way battle right now, including P5, 4, and 3, the last step on the podium.
Jace Wright wants that back more than anything, you can see, but now he's got Eric Miller. He's looking in his rearview mirror, and this is something I feel with Jace. He kind of loses it at certain times when he has someone following him. I feel like he's maybe a rear mirror centric driver. And of course, Jace Wright, keep in mind, this is a driver who's been around the block. He started his days back on controller in Assetto Corsa Competizione. He's moved on to a wheel. I don't know, I can't remember exactly what his setup was. But either way, he has gotten to grips with it. He's become quite the driving expert himself. But Eric Miller's gone full send into the side panel. And controversial contact that he looked death in the eye there, said, take your best shot. And Eric Miller responded by punching him in the face.
Oh man, and that car is sure to have some radiator damage, man. If I've ever seen some from Days of Thunder. No, running into the side pod. Is that our Eric Miller or another one? I believe that's our Eric Miller, if I'm not mistaken.
It's another one. It's another one. No, it's not ours. We take no claims. No, of course, unfortunately. That is Eric Miller. And yes, that is the man. That's an understatement, Coffee Junkie. That is, yeah, definitely adding a little bit of ballast to Eric's car, I would say. But either way, moving swiftly on from that, we take a look. Joseph German side by side right now with Sign, and he can't get it done. German's basically banging his head against his steering wheel at this point, sort of like Kevin Siggy did back in ESL. This is the time, though. This is the place. He has the inside line. He has the favorable run. Lap after lap, German has tried. He has the outside line, as it turns out, which will eventually turn to the in. Sweeps around, gets onto the grass, and all of the hard work. Not done yet? Yes, it is.
Unfortunately for him, Gurin Singh, my homeboy from another mother, in 6th place, is holding on to that lead very well in front of Joseph German, still doing almost identical lap times, best ofs, and best sector times right now. Not even a face cam, Mike? No face cams. We're a professional broadcast right now. We're broadcasting LMU to the most professional abilities possible, barring any graphical errors that I end up mistaking.
That's, in other words, we forgot to set it up. That's the 2 and 2 of that one. We forgot. I apologize, Chad. Literally blame Mike. It's yeah, that one's, like I said, it's my fault. I'll take the responsibility on that.
Mike, I'm gonna put your face cam inside the window of the driver livery preview. How's that? Oh,
that's brilliant. That is brilliant, actually. But no, let's not do that right now. I do like that. But yes, hashtag blame Mike. That's the song and dance. Battle done for now. Keyword for now. Gurin Singh Singh left to his lonesome on this lap. This is the time for him to get the hammer down because his rival has pit. He's gone in for the undercut. What can Gurin Singh do? And what are we going to see as well on the response strategic-wise?
I am curious to see how many of these hypercars are going to need to actually pit versus how many of them have been fuel saving accordingly throughout this entire event to be able to make it the remaining 14 minutes, or if we'll see some violations or some DSQs for breaching their virtual energy limits, Mike.
We very well may. And I mean, with that, obviously, I think the safe strategy is to pit. We had to at Spa. I think we have to, because I remember with talking with Alex, he was saying they can make it 55 minutes. You might be able to stretch it, but is it worth it? That's the question. Let's find out. We only we'll be seeing by the end. There's no mandatory pit stop, so some drivers have that option. However, I do think Gurin Singh will come in on this lap. Almost certainly he's going to have no choice but to respond to German's pit stop and go for the overcut strategy, as it will be.
Oh, chopping it up with the number 46 BMW. Can he get through there? He will be able to get through. Finally, there at Cunningham Corner and into Collier Curve. It looks like he's doing just fine now. But man, that was awfully close. Closing speed coming into the tower turn and getting that one done. Now let's decide if Gurren Singh is actually going to come into the pit lane this time around, or if he'll choose to stay out. He's approaching the pit line now, and there it is. The decision has been made. Singh now into the pits in the number 4 Porsche Penske Motorsport car.
Yeah, and this is necessary. He has no choice but to call the strategy from German. Why don't we take a look at German, see exactly where he's at. It's going to be a longer pit stop here at Sebring, so we'll take a look. It looks like we're coming into... Oh, I really can't tell, I'm not going to lie. Is this in the Cunningham corner in the Collier curve? It's so hard for me to spot.
I believe it is, Mike Nause, and we're about to approach Tower Corner because there's a giant tower.
Yep. Yeah, that's easy enough. Yeah, you see the giant tower in the background, you know where you're at. So through tower turn right now, with about 4 or 5 more turns to go, depending on how you look at a turn here at Sebring. It's a bit debatable. We will be seeing potential side-by-side on exit, so keep an eye out here. Here goes German through the pit entry line. He's not going to be coming in. He went in on the previous lap. And now, looking at Singh. Where are we going to be?
Singh is already making his way through turn 17, the final corner right now. And in the background, you can see Randy Gross and Joseph German lurking around in the background. He's got a 0.6 lead over Randy Gross right now. Joseph German 2.8 seconds away from them. Must have had a poor pit stop strategy, and Gurren Singh able to do pretty well on his. And we're going to have another battle between Daniel Meyer and Jake Bucknam up at the front.
Curious. I'm very curious at how they got so separated. Yeah, interesting. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Eric Miller.
Traffic, take it away.
Maybe, but was it that much though? That's a lot of time for lap traffic. I don't know. Well, I'm curious. I'm very curious what happened. How we have a driver separating the two as well. That's kind of nutty to me in all ways. Either way, Eric Miller, deep into the corner. That's not going to help his efforts on getting by Jace Wright whatsoever, is it, Saagar?
No, not this time around, not whatsoever. 1 second is the gap now. It's increased quite steadily. Let's take a look at Daniel Meyer and Jake Bucknam. Bucknam's out in front in the Toyota livery, the number 7. Daniel Meyer in the 51 Ferrari AF Corsa car. And now it looks like there was a GT3 getting in the way, and there's a little touch in the rump there. And it looks like a little bit of turbo was being applied to that Toyota from the 51 from behind. But man, oh man, that's not the right way to get the move done and dusted. The 51 obviously carrying quite a bit more speed than the number 7 out in front right now.
Yeah, and then the flash of the headlights afterwards as well, which was a bit questionable. My best piece of advice to any driver out there is don't hit objects that you can see. Also, go by drivers that you have the opportunity to. I think Bucknam had no intentions on fighting that.
Looks like he just let that one go. Said, you know what? You've obviously got the pace. Go ahead and drive your heart out, brother. And it looks like the pace was definitely there. Daniel Meyer with a 147.8 is on a bit of a rampage right now.
Yeah, it certainly is. And yes, indeed, Mr. Scientist Monkey, or otherwise known as Remco Ottens. Yes, that is Joseph German, currently behind the wheel of the number 7 Toyota. I guess so is Jake Bucknam. So using numbers in cars are a bit... We're getting there. We're getting there eventually. Travis, welcome. Old Man Joey, welcome as well. No, Old Man Joey asked. Excuse me. That's my apologies. I misread the chat. Old Man Joey. Yes, that is Joseph German.
Yes, that's Joseph German.
Look, Guru Cookie, or jeez, it's late. It's late. Look, we've done a broadcast already today. I'm just gonna call it as it is. It's I'm a little rusty.
But you know what's not rusty is Jace Wright, as he's 0.3 off the pace from Brandon Pfeiffer right now. He's chasing him down pretty quickly. Jace Wright looking like he wants to get better than third position, and wants to get second position. He was in front of Carl Sween at one point in time, but now the positions have all gotten kerfuffled up. Brandon Pfeiffer leads over Jace Wright, and Eric Miller trails behind in the number 331 in 4th position overall.
Yeah, I have lost it, I won't lie. But yes, let's back to the action, of course, as I need to dial in for the rest of this. 7 minutes, 56 seconds left to go. Jace Wright, third position right now, looking to make it a second. Pfeffer holding on for dear life, and he's done an excellent job of it. Now, the thing is, Pfeffer hasn't pit, right? Was that what you were just saying?
I'm not sure. Has Pfeffer pit? Let's see if we can
Pfeiffer's pit.
see if we can see the number of stops.
He has pit, proves me wrong, shows what I know. And yes, I am losing my mind. Yes, so Pfeffer has pit. He's just done an incredible job of moving through the field, and now has 13 seconds to the back of Sween. I still do not know how that happened, but here we are.
A little bit of lap traffic, giving lap traffic taken away. We saw some kerfuffles happen throughout the pit stop strategy. I wonder if some drivers taking more virtual energy or more fuel than others, that might be one of the things that the drivers need to keep an eye out on during their pit stop cycles, is the number of liters that they're putting back in their car, perhaps taking a little too much to get to the end plus some, and some drivers taking just the right amount to get to the very, very end of the race, and that is going to be all she wrote. Right now, the three-way battle is Pfeffer, Wright, and Miller. Miller trails Wright and Pfeffer. Let's go on board. I know I'm going to be ostracized for this, not that on board. Let's go not on that on board. This onboard is the one we're going to want to look at. That mirror is ginormous.
Yeah, we're looking through a letter slot right now in a mailbox, to be honest. This is not quite the vision that we had in mind, but either way, this is what the drivers see, folks. Keep that in mind. So literally looking through the, like I say, the delivery post slot on your door to drive these cars. It's an absolute handful. These cars have enough torque to tenderize an elephant if you're not careful with your right foot. Heck, even if you are, it will still be able to. And just trying to manage that. Look at how much speed they can carry into these lower to the medium to high speed corners, I suppose. Even the lower speed corners, as we approach some of the LMGT3s. This is where the difference maker is, and the BMW getting held up there slightly. So are we, as Eric Miller getting held up there just a little bit by the Corvette, but nothing to be too deterred by. Back onto the accelerator and round. Look at again how quickly we take off from a Corvette. That is a literal, basically, I mean, not a supercar, but it is a quite sporty car. A little bit faster than my Camry when it comes to 0 to 60. My car in about 3 to 5 business days. These, a little bit quicker. They got that prime delivery. Oh, goodness. Oh, prime delivery to the rear there. Eric Miller, he's gone for the postmaster's send, and unfortunately, he's ended up on fire. Sending cars around to the outside of chicane in the middle of a hairpin. This race has not been all sunshine and rainbows for the 311.
Check out Gurin Singh right now as he's catching right back up to Miller right now. Daniel Meyer lurking in the background as well. So we've lost one three-way battle, but gained another one. In the meantime, the number 4 looking like he wants to make a move around the 311 right now. And the 51 of Daniel Meyer lurking in the background, wanting to get a move done with this GT3 traffic in the way as well. Finding the way past swiftly and surely, able to do so as we got through Le Mans and on our way towards Sunset, turn 17. The 51 looks at the inside line. Is he there alongside enough? He went for 2 overtakes in a row. Is the 51 of Daniel Meyer able to hold on? No, he is not able to do so. He's side by side though, pushing and shoving the 311 into the start-finish wall. And then finally, the Wall of Champions claims another one here at Sebring.
Daniel Meyer moving around like a knitting grandma. That was not quite the most optimal line of attack, but he did gain 1 position for his efforts. Now, will the stewards be having a look at that? We will certainly see. Still has Meyer ahead, though, or rather, excuse me, still has Singh ahead in 4th position. The number 4 currently sitting in P4. Some say that's fate. Others may say it's a curse. Well, in the next 3 minutes and 30 seconds, we're going to find out.
This last 60 minutes has absolutely flown by, Mike Nause. We've had nothing but action to talk about this entire battle. This has been a thrill of a time, and it's not even over yet. We still have Daniel Meyer trying to chase down Gurin Singh, side-by-side action heading towards the Collier curve, and it looks like the 51 is going to shove his nose alongside and force Gurin Singh a little bit offline there. Going in towards Tower, it's going to be too wide for sure. The 311 is going to try to trail through. Oh my goodness, and a little bit of calamity there as the 311 gets collected by the 51, and that's not the way we wanted to see that battle end.
No, unlucky for Eric Miller. He was a passenger in that collision, and nothing that really anyone could have done, minus of course drivers pushing a little less hard and not initiating a pirouette. That's a bad day for some and a better day for others. Jace Wright has benefited massively off of that. Now he has nobody to worry about in his rearview mirror and only the road ahead and the bright yellow and black that is ahead of him here for that Cadillac. Now, Jace, keep it on circuit, buddy, and you'll have a better chance of gaining that position. But if he can manage to do so, then the game is on with the last 2 laps.
Absolutely. Let's check out the GT3 field right now as Raw Racing is chasing down João Azevedo, getting around one of the lapped cars in the GT3 LM category. But you can see that number 31 of João Azevedo right in front in that BMW, otherwise not the WRT one, but another Target looking livery. I can't remember what team that is. Let me just check. It is the Team WRT, excuse me.
Of course it is.
Of course it is the Team WRT, says Mike Nause in my ears. But of course, the battle still rages on in the GT3 category. Let's not forget, Lucas Mine has performed an absolute masterclass right now. He's 3 laps down from the Hypercars. He's 1 lap or 16 seconds in the lead in front of Lentilian and Saidi in P3, Tim Kennedy in P4, Azevedo in P5, Raw Racing in 6, Drew Burakovsky in 7th, Will Brunner, Chambers, Cody, and 1 Bigley will round out the 11 drivers remaining in the GT3 LM category.
It's a very similar story to last week. Now, to be fair, we doubted Lucas Mind in qualifying. We thought that he maybe was having a bit of issues, faltering just a tad. No, his race pace is unanswered. It's electric, and he is, well, we haven't even talked about him this entire race. That goes to show you just how well he has been doing. Ryan Lentilian looking to make a great result here as well. With the recovery drive from last week's Spa not quite being his best friend. Similar story, or not, I should say the similar story should not be told here for Sebring. Quite the good day. 2nd place, nothing to shake a stick at.
Absolutely. It is a great recovery drive from Lentilian after the incident that he had at Spa-Francorchamps. Great recovery, and he's only 16 seconds off the pace of Lucas Mind as we were just about to conclude. I wish they gave us a lap counter, but we don't know how many laps they've done, but he's only 16 seconds off the drift after an hour's worth of driving, so that is nothing to shake a stick at, like you said, Mike Nause. Great work out of him. 0 minutes remaining on the clock. Let's take a look at Carl Sween and where they are, because they're about to cross the line surely first in their class.
Looking like they're in Sector 2 right now. Trying to find out exactly. I think they're coming by Tower Bend soon enough. I'm just trying to see if there's a tower in the background, but either way, it has been a superb drive. Carl Sween unanswered from the gates. He pretty much has walked away with this one hand over fist. Don Hunter not taking part in this race. Jake Buckton was 2nd coming into this. Carl Sween was down in 4th in the standings. Now, this should put him up at the top in the Hypercar category, or at least relatively close. He needs 15 points off. As we get ready here to go down towards the final few corners and that start-finish line, Carl Sween will be getting ready to take victory here at Sebring. Round 2 of the Trackalicious Le Mans Ultimate Championship. And Carl Sween is going to take the checkered flag and the victory over everyone else tonight.
Congratulations to Carl Sween, not to mention Brandon Pfeiffer crossing the line in P2. Jace Wright claiming 3rd place in the BMW Team WR T-Mobile. Gurren Singh with a hard-fought 4th place as well. Eric Miller in 5th place. Joseph German in 7th. Costa in 7th. Daniel Meyer in 8th. Skyhook in 9th. And Cantia in 10th place. Let's check out the GT3 fields and where they are. They've got a long way to go before they end up finishing this race, Mike.
Yeah, I think actually Lucas Mine's about where we checked into Carl Sween at, more or less. Going to be coming around that middle sector now and through towards, I think, on the exit of Tower Curve. So he will be getting there a little bit slower than Carl Sween. Keep that in mind. The top speed and the corner ability is not quite as much for the M4 as the, sister BMW in the Hypercar category, the V8 BMW. I don't think it has a special name. But either way, here we go. Lucas Mind, he has driven to perfection not once, but now 2 times in a row and is going to be taking back-to-back victories. One at Spa, one at Sebring. And the question is, can he make it the hat trick as we get ready to head over to Bahrain for our next race on January 10th? Lucas Mind rounding the final corner now and taking the checkered flag for your race victory in the LMGT3 category.
Congratulations to Lucas Mine. Congratulations to Lentillion as he comes around turn 17 right now. The final corner here at Sebring as we finish up 1 hour's worth of driving, and that's just 1/12 of the way for the 12 hours of Sebring that we'll have showcasing in March for the official start of the WEC season. That'll be very, very, very exciting to see. And then we've got Saidi in 3rd place, Tim Kennedy in 4th place, Azevedo in 5th place, Raw Racing in 6th, Drew Burkowski in 7th, Will Brunner in 8th, Chambers in 9th, Cody in 10th, and One Bigley in 11th.
Indeed, and what a race, what a championship as well. These drivers putting on an absolute treat of a show for us. And I hope everyone in the audience is enjoying. Big thank you to East Coast Dave Scientist Monkey as well for the kind words. Thank you to everyone as well on the YouTube side of things. As I'm just checking that out, we see we have Jay Gott, and I've disappeared. I'm back. There we go. I'm back. And with that, of course, a big thank you to everyone. We're going to be raiding as well. I'm hoping to find a raid here relatively soon. So Saagar, why don't you talk a little bit about the race whilst I do that?
That race was super exciting. Thank you very much to all the participants for joining us. I really appreciate all the love and support you guys have given us here at TRACKILICIOUS as we get Le Mans Ultimate underway for the very first time. We're still getting all the kinks worked out for us on the broadcast side, but thank you very much for joining us and all the love and participation, and thank you very much for all the kind corrections and kind words about anything that we may have gotten wrong. Hypercars and GT3 LMs are new to us as well as new to you guys, so thank you very much for all those corrections and the lovely information that you guys have been able to provide for us. We're looking forward to having a full season of LMU with our finale being switched up to Le Mans, and that will be an exciting 90-minute race with 3 classes of cars. Daniel Meyer says, I made a mistake at the pit stop. That's what happened. Thank you very much, CM3S Studios, for the follow. Really appreciate it. Mike Nause, say your iconic phrase of the day.
Yes, indeed. So we are going to be rating, folks, and we are going to be rating one of the men that was in our race, Ryan Lentillion. Head it on over, check out some more Le Mans Ultimate. I'm hoping he's going to keep streaming. If not, then I look like a fool. But either way, we're going to rate nonetheless, as I forgot last week. So with that being said, folks, head on over to our SimGrid. All of our championship information can be found there. Head on down to the Discord as well for any other information about anything regarding TRACKILICIOUS. And with that, as Scientist Monkey is pointing out, I hope everybody has a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. Thank you, and good night.
Stream is dead.
Okay, we've rated. Perfect. YouTube stream's still up.